Captain Tae-ho Kim looked at the message on his screen and felt his heart sink. After 15 good years working for the United Earth Space Force, one mistake had ruined everything. During a training exercise last month, he had chosen to save his crew instead of following the official plan. No one died because of his choice, but his bosses were angry. Very angry. Now they had given him two choices: quit the Space Force in shame, or take command of the UES Distant Hope. The Distant Hope was an old, broken-down survey ship that would be sent on a 3-year mission to the far edges of known space. Tae-ho rubbed his tired eyes. "Some choice," he said to the empty room. "Either way, my career is over." He packed his few belongings into a small bag. The rules said he could only bring personal items that fit in one standard container. 15 years of service, and all he had to show for it was a bag of clothes, some photos, and a medal they would probably ask him to give back. The trip to the space dock took 3 hours. Looking out the transport window, Tae-ho saw Earth getting smaller behind him. Would he ever see it again? The Distant Hope's mission had a high failure rate. Not many punishment ships returned. When the transport docked, Tae-ho got his first look at his new command. The ship was even worse than the pictures had shown. Its hull was dirty and marked with patches. Some of the outer lights were broken. It looked like it had been in service for 50 years without proper care. "Welcome to the end of your career," he muttered as he stepped through the airlock. A woman in a lieutenant's uniform stood waiting for him. She saluted sharply. "Captain Kim, welcome aboard the UES Distant Hope. I am Lieutenant Ji-woo Park, your new second in command." Tae-ho returned the salute. Lieutenant Park's uniform was clean and proper, but her eyes told a different story. They were the eyes of someone who had also been sent here as punishment. "Thank you, Lieutenant. How many crew members do we have?" 12 total, sir, including you and me. Everyone is waiting in the mess hall as ordered." Tae-ho nodded. "Lead the way." As they walked through the narrow hallways, Tae-ho noticed the poor state of the ship. Panels were loose, lights flickered, and some sections smelled like burnt wires. The Distant Hope wasn't just old, it was falling apart. The mess hall was small, with just enough room for the assembled crew. 10 people stood at attention as Tae-ho entered. They were a strange mix, mostly younger officers with a few older. Specialists. All of them had the same look in their eyes, the look of people who had been thrown away. "At ease," Tae-ho said. "I am Captain Tae-ho Kim. As you probably know, this ship has been assigned to investigate strange signals coming from the Epsilon Eridani system. It's a 3-year mission." He paused. "I won't lie to you. We're all here because someone up the chain of command thinks we don't deserve better." A few crew members exchanged glances. One man in an engineer's uniform snorted quietly. "However," Tae-ho continued, "I intend to complete this mission properly. Whatever mistakes brought us here, we are still United Earth Space Force. We still have a job to do." "Questions?" A tall woman with Science Division patches raised her hand. "Sir, I'm Science Officer Hee-jin Kang. I've looked at the signal data we're supposed to investigate. Command says it's probably just equipment error, but some patterns suggest it could be important." Tae-ho studied her face. "What kind of patterns, Officer Kang?" "Repeating sequences that don't match known natural phenomena. If I had to guess." She hesitated. "They could be artificial." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what she was suggesting. Alien signals. It was the kind of claim that probably got her sent to this punishment ship in the first place. "We'll investigate thoroughly," Tae-ho said carefully. "Anyone else?" The man in the engineer's uniform stepped forward. "Chief Engineer Sung-min Lee, sir. This ship is in bad shape. The warp drive hasn't been properly fixed in years. We're lucky if we can reach half the speed that the mission plans call for." "Can you fix it, Chief Lee?" The engineer laughed. "With what? We have minimal spare parts and outdated tools." Tae-ho met his eyes. "I didn't ask what you don't have. I asked if you can fix it." Lee stared back for a long moment. "I'll see what I can do, Captain." "Good. We launch in 48 hours. I want department reports on my desk by 800 tomorrow." Dismissed. As the crew left to begin their duties, Lieutenant Park stayed behind. Permission to speak freely, sir? She asked. Granted. The crew is difficult. They're all here for various infractions. Sung-Min Lee modified engine parts without permission. Hee-Jin Kang published research papers that contradicted official Space Force positions. Security Chief Dae-Sung Choi punched a superior officer who endangered civilians. Tae-ho smiled slightly. And you, Lieutenant? What terrible crime brought you to the distant Hope? Ji-woo's face remained neutral. I refused an admiral's son's advances at the academy. He didn't take it well. I see. Tae-ho nodded. And what about our other crew members? Communications Officer Min-ho Yang has unusual theories about possible alien languages. Navigator Jun-ho Kwon has gambling debts. Medical Officer Sun Ha-yoon helped aliens who attacked a colony world. She helped enemies? They were injured children, sir. The attack wasn't their choice. Tae-ho sighed. So we have rule breakers, troublemakers, and people who made powerful enemies. Wonderful. Yes, sir. But also some of the best minds in the fleet. They just don't follow orders well. Well, Lieutenant Park, then my job is clear. I need to give orders worth following. Over the next 2 days, Tae-ho inspected every part of the ship. The problems were worse than he had feared. Life support worked at minimum levels. The sensors needed constant adjustment. The single shuttle looked like it had crashed and been poorly put back together. But the crew surprised him. Despite their records, they worked hard. Chief Lee performed miracles with the engines. Science Officer Kang improved the sensors by 30%. Even Security Chief Choi, a large man with a permanent scowl, made sure all weapon systems were functional. On the morning of launch day, Tae-ho sat in the captain's chair on the small bridge. The worn padding sank under his weight. The display screens flickered occasionally. All departments report ready for launch, Captain, said Lieutenant Park from her station. Thank you, Lieutenant. Tae-ho pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to begin our mission. I know none of us chose to be here. I know this ship isn't what any of us deserve, but we have been given a job, and we will do it well. He paused. Maybe they sent us out here, to be forgotten. But I promise you this. When we return in 3 years, they will remember the name Distant Hope. Prepare for launch. As the docking clamps released, Tae-ho watched Earth slowly move away on the main screen. He didn't know what waited for them at Epsilon Eridani, but for the first time since receiving his punishment orders, he felt something new. Hope. Warp drive engaged, Captain, reported Engineer Lee. We're on our way. The stars stretched and blurred as the Distant Hope left Earth behind, carrying 12 outcasts toward a destiny none of them could imagine. 6 months passed aboard the UES Distant Hope. The ship moved through space much slower than planned. Chief Engineer Sung-Min worked daily to keep the old engines running. Some days, the ship had to stop completely for repairs. Life on board was hard. Food was basic. Water had to be used carefully. The air recyclers made strange noises at night. But something unexpected was happening among the crew. These 12 people, all sent away as punishment, were becoming a team. Captain Tae-ho noticed the change during morning meetings. Arguments that once ended in anger now led to solutions. When one system broke, everyone helped fix it. Even Security Chief Dae-Sung, who rarely smiled, now played cards with the others during off hours. Lieutenant Park, Tae-ho said one morning on the bridge, I need your honest opinion. How is the crew doing? Ji-woo thought for a moment. Better than expected, sir. They're working well together. I think being outcasts has given them something in common. Tae-ho nodded. And the ship? Still falling apart, but Engineer Lee keeps it moving. We should reach Epsilon Eridani in 3 weeks. The captain turned to Science Officer Hee-Jin, who was studying sensor data at her station. Any updates on the signal, Officer Kang? Hee-Jin looked up, her eyes bright with excitement. Yes, Captain. It's getting stronger as we get closer, and the pattern is clearer now. Show me. Hee-Jin pressed some buttons and the main screen filled with a series of waves and dots. To most people, it would look like random noise, but Tai-ho saw what she meant. There was a clear pattern repeating every few seconds. "This is not random," Yijin said, "and it's not a natural sound from space. Something or someone is making this signal on purpose." The bridge went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. "Are you saying this could be?" "Communications officer," Minho began. "Aliens," Hyejin finished. "Yes, I think so." Tai-ho leaned back in his chair. Humans had been looking for signs of alien life for hundreds of years. Big research ships with the best equipment had searched and found nothing. Now, a broken-down punishment ship might have found the greatest discovery in human history. "Could it be a mistake?" Tai-ho asked. "Could our old equipment be wrong?" Hyejin shook her head. "I've checked many times. This is real. We should tell." "Earth Command," said Security Chief Dae-sung from his post. Tai-ho thought about this. "If we send a message now, it will take 8 days to reach Earth. Then they will tell us to stay back and wait for a proper research ship. That could take months. So what do we do?" Jiwoo asked. The captain stood up and walked to the main screen. He studied the signal pattern. "We continue the mission. We find the source." 3 weeks later, the distant Hope entered the Epsilon Eridani system. It was a star much like Earth's sun with several planets orbiting around it. The signal was coming from the 4th planet. "Scan the planet," Tai-ho ordered. Hyejin worked at her station. "It's smaller than Earth. Thin atmosphere. No large water bodies visible. Temperature ranges from very cold to very hot. No signs of cities or large life forms on the surface. But the signal is definitely coming from there?" "Yes, Captain. From this area." She showed a spot on the planet map. "There's something there. Something big." Navigator Junho brought the ship into orbit around the planet. The crew gathered on the bridge, staring at the main screen. As they circled to the day side of the planet, they saw it. "What is that?" whispered Medical Officer Sun Hai. Rising from the planet's surface was a huge tower. It was at least 100 meters tall, made of a material that reflected the light of the star. Around its base were smaller structures. "It's artificial," said Hyejin. "Someone built this." "Are they still there?" asked Tai-ho. Hyejin checked her sensors again. "No life signs detected, but the signal is coming from that tower." The captain made his decision. "We need to see it up close. Prepare the shuttle for landing. I'll lead the team myself." "Sir," Dae-sung objected, "protocol says we should report this to Earth Command first." "I'm aware of protocol, Chief," Tai-ho said calmly. "But we were sent here to investigate a signal, and that's what we're going to do." 6 hours later, Tai-ho stood in the shuttle bay with the landing team. Science Officer Hyejin, Security Chief Dae-sung, Communications Officer Minho, and Medical Officer Sun Hai. They wore spacesuits designed for planets with thin atmospheres. "Remember," Tai-ho told them, "we're just looking. Don't touch anything unless I say it's okay. Stay together at all times." Lieutenant Jiwoo would remain on the ship as acting captain. She helped check everyone's suit one last time. "Be careful down there," she said to Tai-ho. "We outcasts need our captain back." The shuttle launch was rough. The old vessel shook as it left the distant Hope and entered the planet's thin atmosphere. Navigator Junho, who was piloting, fought with the controls. "Sorry for the bumpy ride," he called back. "This shuttle doesn't like me." Through the front window, they could see the tower getting closer. It was even more impressive up close. A perfect structure standing alone on the barren landscape. The surface around it was flat, as if it had been cleared on purpose. "Look for a safe landing spot near the base," Tai-ho ordered. Junho set the shuttle down about 100 meters from the tower. The landing was hard and warning lights flashed on the control panel. "Can we take off again?" Tai-ho asked. Junho examined the displays. "Yes, but not too many more landings like that. We should be gentle with this old girl." The team put on their helmets and checked their air supplies. Then they opened the shuttle door and stepped onto an alien world. The landscape was mostly red, rock and dust. The sky above was dark even during daytime because of the thin atmosphere. In the distance, they could see mountains, but everyone's eyes were drawn to the tower. "It's beautiful," said Hyejin as they walked toward it. The tower's surface was covered with markings, lines, circles, and shapes that formed patterns. The material wasn't metal or stone, it seemed to change color slightly as they moved around it. "These markings look like writing," said Minho, studying them closely. "Or maybe math formulas." "Can you understand any of it?" Taeho asked. Minho shook his head. "No, but there's definitely a pattern. This wasn't random decoration. It means something." Daesung walked the perimeter of the tower's base. "Captain, I think I found an entrance." The team joined him at a section of the tower where the markings formed a large circle. In the center of the circle was what looked like a handprint, but with 6 fingers. "It's a door," said Heejin. "But how do we open it?" Taeho studied the handprint. "It probably needs a 6-fingered hand to touch it. We only have 5 fingers." Minho moved closer to the door. "The symbols here are different. They repeat in groups of 3. Maybe it's a code or a greeting." As Minho leaned in to look at the symbols, his helmet accidentally touched the surface of the tower. Suddenly, the entire structure hummed with energy. The markings lit up with blue light that moved in waves from the top to the bottom. "Step back," ordered Taeho, pulling Minho away. The circle with the handprint began to glow brighter. Then, slowly, it started to open outward, revealing a dark passage into the tower. "What did you do?" asked Daesung, his hand moving to his weapon. "Nothing," Minho said. "I just got too close." Heejin checked her scanner. "Energy readings are off the charts. This whole structure just came to life." From inside the dark passage came a soft blue light. It grew brighter, moving toward them. "Should we run back to the shuttle?" asked Sunhai. Taeho shook his head. "No, we came here to make a discovery. And I think—" He paused as the blue light reached the doorway. "The discovery is about to meet us." The light stopped at the entrance. It hovered there, pulsing gently. Then it began to take shape, forming what looked like a tall, thin figure made of light. The 5 humans stood frozen, watching as humanity's first contact with an alien intelligence was about to begin. The blue light at the tower entrance shaped itself into a tall figure. It looked somewhat human, with a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs, but different in important ways. The head was larger, with no clear face. The arms were too long, nearly touching the ground. The whole body glowed and shifted like water in the light. Captain Taeho and his team stood still, barely breathing. This was a moment humans had dreamed about for centuries. "Nobody move," Taeho said quietly through the helmet radio. "Let it make the first move." The light figure tilted its large head, as if studying them. Then it raised one long arm and pointed, back into the doorway. "I think it wants us to follow," said Science Officer Hyejin. Security Chief Daesung put his hand on his weapon. "Captain, this could be a trap." "If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already," Taeho replied. "We're going in. Stay alert, but keep your weapons down." The team followed the light figure into the tower. Inside was a round room with smooth walls covered in the same strange markings they had seen outside. The ceiling was high, and in the PUI center of the room was a round platform with a raised block that looked like some kind of control panel. The light figure moved to this panel and waved a hand over it. The markings on the walls suddenly lit up and a soft humming filled the room. "Amazing," whispered Minho. "The markings are changing." He was right. The symbols on the wall were shifting, rearranging themselves in patterns that moved too fast to follow. "It's trying to communicate," Minho said. He took a small device from his belt, a universal translator that he had modified. It was one of the reasons he had been sent to the punishment ship. His ideas about alien language were not accepted by his superiors. The light figure noticed the device and moved closer to Minho. It pointed at the translator, then at the walls, then back at Minho. "I think it understands what this is for," Minho said. He held the device up toward the figure. We are humans. We come in peace. Can you understand us? The figure didn't respond directly. Instead, it touched the translator with one glowing finger. The device sparked and began to glow with the same blue light. Minho almost dropped it in surprise. What's happening? Asked Tai-Ho. I think it's improving my translator, Minho said in wonder. The power levels are increasing tenfold. After a few seconds, the figure removed its finger. The translator continued to glow softly. Then sounds came from it, clicks, whistles, and hums that weren't human language. Minho adjusted some settings on the device. It's trying to speak to us, but the translator needs to learn the language patterns. The figure pointed at the walls again. The symbols were now changing more slowly, forming groups and repeating. It's teaching us, said Hyejin. Basic communication patterns first, like teaching a child. For 20 minutes, they watched as the symbols changed. Minho's translator recorded everything, working to find patterns and meaning. The others stood, silently afraid to interrupt this important process. Finally, the translator made a different sound, words in a strange, flat voice. Greeting, welcome, long wait over. It worked, Minho exclaimed. We have basic translation. Tai-Ho stepped forward. Thank you for your greeting. I am Captain Tai-Ho Kim of the United Earth Space Force. We are explorers from the planet Earth. The translator converted his words into the alien sounds. The light figure seemed to listen, then responded. I am Keeper, the translator said. Last, Guardian, watching, waiting, for right ones. Keeper, Tai-Ho repeated. You were waiting for us specifically? Not you specific. Waiting for those who question, those who explore when told not to, those who break rules for right reasons. The translation was choppy but understandable. Tai-Ho looked at his team in surprise. Was this alien saying it had been waiting for rule breakers? How long have you been waiting? Asked Hyejin. Time, different measure. Long by your count, thousands of your years. Medical Officer Sunhai spoke up for the first time. Are you alone here? Where are your people? The light figure dimmed slightly. Others? Gone. Great war. Enemy from outside. Galaxy. Guardians fought, most died, some escaped. I stayed to watch Earth. Wait for right time. You've been watching Earth? Daesung asked, his voice suspicious. Yes. Since humans first looked at stars with wonder, watched your growth, your wars, your learning. Minho was working with his translator, improving the connections. Why didn't you contact us before now? Not ready. Humans afraid of different. Would fight first, learn later, needed to find special humans. You. Tai-Ho felt a chill run through him. How did you find us? How did you know to send the signal that our ship was sent to investigate? The light figure moved toward the control panel again. It waved a hand, and a hologram appeared above it. A perfect image of the UES Distant Hope in orbit. Signal sent, knowing ship of outcasts would come. Others would follow rules, report to leaders, wait for permission. You, different. The team exchanged shocked looks. This alien, this keeper, had somehow arranged for their ship to be the one sent to investigate. Are you saying our mission was no accident? Asked Tai-Ho. The signals were meant for us specifically? Yes. Signals change as ship approaches. If different ship came, signals would be natural space noise. For you, signals became clear. Hyejin shook her head in amazement. The technology to do that, it's beyond anything we have. Guardians. We're advanced. Before the war. Tai-Ho had a disturbing thought. Did you have anything to do with us being sent on this mission? With us being punished? The Keeper's light form pulsed. No direct action. Simply observed which humans asked questions. Which humans helped others against rules? Which humans thought differently? Your leaders noticed same things. They called these things problems. We called them potential. Min-ho laughed suddenly. So all the things that got us in trouble, my theories about alien language, Haijin's research, Dae-sung's fighting to protect civilians, those were the exact things that made us the right people to find you? Yes. What your kind called mistakes, we see as necessary qualities for what comes next. And what comes next? Asked Tae-ho. The keeper moved to the center of the room. Choice. I can give humans knowledge, technology, history of galaxy, understanding beyond your current level, or you can return home. Tell others what you found. Let them decide. If we accept this knowledge, Tae-ho said carefully, what would you want in return? You become bridge between humans and other intelligences. Many exist, waiting to see if humans ready for wider community. The team fell silent, considering the enormous implications. Tae-ho looked at each of his team members. This isn't a decision I can make alone, he said. What do you all think? Heejin spoke first. This is why we explore space, to learn, to grow. I say yes. Min-ho nodded eagerly. This is the greatest opportunity in human history. Of course we should accept. Sunhai was more thoughtful. This knowledge could help us heal diseases, feed the hungry. It could change everything. Dae-sung crossed his arms. It could also give us weapons and power that might be dangerous, but he paused. If anyone should have this responsibility, it's people who question orders and think about consequences, not people who blindly follow rules. Tae-ho turned back to the keeper. If we accept, how will this work? Will you come with us to Earth? No, my place is here, but Tower contains all knowledge of Guardians, can transfer to your ship, your minds. Tower designed to teach. You said others like you escaped during the war, Tae-ho said. Are they still out there? Will we meet them? Yes. Watching other promising species will reveal themselves when time right. Network of watchers across galaxy. Tae-ho took a deep breath. This was bigger than him, bigger than his career or his ship or even Earth itself. This was about humanity's place in the universe. We accept your offer, he said. We will bring your knowledge back to Earth. We will be the bridge. The keeper's light form brightened. Good choice, prepare your ship. Transfer will begin soon. As the team made their way back to the shuttle, their minds reeled with the implications of what had just happened. The outcasts, the rule breakers, the problems. They had been chosen for the most important mission in human history, and the real work was just beginning. The trip back to the distant hope was quiet. Each member of the landing team was lost in their own thoughts. They had just met an alien being and agreed to accept knowledge that would change human history forever. When they docked with the main ship, Lieutenant Jiwoo was waiting for them. She saw their serious faces and knew something important had happened. Captain, what did you find down there? She asked as they removed their helmets. Tae-ho looked at his second-in-command. Get everyone to the meeting room. They all need to hear this. 30 minutes later, the entire crew sat in the small meeting room. Many looked nervous. Some were excited. All were curious. What we found on the planet is beyond anything we expected, Tae-ho began. We made contact with an alien intelligence called the Keeper. It's the last of a species called the Guardians who have been watching Earth for thousands of years. A murmur went through the room. The Keeper has offered us knowledge and technology far beyond our own, continued Tae-ho. We accepted this offer on humanity's behalf. The landing team and I believe it's the right decision, but you all deserve to know what's happening. Our ship and our lives are about to change. Chief Engineer Sung-min raised his hand. What kind of changes, Captain? What will happen to the distant hope? The Keeper said it would transfer knowledge to our ship and to us. I don't know exactly what that means, but I expect our systems will be upgraded. Do we trust this alien? Asked Navigator Junho. How do we know this isn't a trap? Science Officer Hyejin spoke up. The Keeper has been watching humans for centuries. If it wanted to harm us, it could have done so long ago. Instead, it waited for the right people to make contact. And those right people are us? Someone asked doubtfully. A bunch of outcasts on a punishment mission? Communications Officer Minho nodded. Yes, exactly us. The Keeper wanted humans who question orders, who think for themselves, who break rules when necessary. That's why our ship received the signal. It was meant for people like us. The crew looked at each other. Many seemed to sit taller with new pride in their eyes. Captain, said Lieutenant Jiwoo, what happens when we return to Earth? Will Space Force Command believe us? They'll have to, Taeho replied, because we'll have proof. The Keeper is going to begin the knowledge transfer tomorrow. We should prepare the ship as best we can. For the rest of the day, the crew worked to make the Distant Hope ready. They didn't know what to expect, but they cleaned systems, ran diagnostics, and secured loose equipment. That night, Taeho couldn't sleep. He stood in the small observation room looking at the planet below. The tower was visible even from orbit, a tiny bright spot on the surface. Lieutenant Jiwoo found him there. Can't sleep either, Captain? No. Too much to think about. Are you worried we made the wrong choice? She asked. Taeho thought about it. No, I think it's the right choice. But it's a huge responsibility. The entire future of human-alien relations will depend on how we handle this. Good thing it's us, then, Jiwoo said with a small smile. A bunch of troublemakers who don't just follow orders blindly. The next morning, the ship's alarms woke everyone early. Strange energy readings were coming from the planet's surface. The tower is activating, reported Hyejin from her science station on the bridge. Energy levels are off the charts. Suddenly, a beam of blue light shot up from the tower and hit the Distant Hope. The ship shook. Damage report, ordered Taeho. No damage, Captain, said Chief Engineer Sungmin, checking his panels. But something strange is happening to our systems. The ship's lights flickered, then grew brighter. Control panels that had been broken for years suddenly lit up. The constant background noise of the old engines changed to a smooth, quiet hum. All systems are coming online, Sungmin said in amazement. Power levels are rising. The warp drive it's changing. For 3 hours, the blue beam connected, the tower to the ship. The crew watched in wonder as their old, broken vessel transformed. New displays appeared, showing information they didn't understand yet. The air became fresher. Even the ship's hull began to strengthen and repair itself. Finally, the beam faded. The tower on the planet went dark. What just happened? Asked Taeho, looking around the bridge. It was the same room, but everything looked newer, cleaner, more advanced. The Keeper transferred knowledge to our ship, said Hyejin. It upgraded everything with Guardian technology. Minho was studying one of the new displays. Captain, I can read this. Somehow I understand it. He tapped his head. The knowledge isn't just in the ship. It's in us too. One by one, the crew discovered they could understand the new systems. Ideas and information they had never learned were somehow in their minds. It wasn't overwhelming. The knowledge came when they needed it, like remembering something they had always known. This is incredible, said Medical Officer Sun Hai. I suddenly understand diseases we've never been able to cure. The solutions seem so simple now. Security Chief Dae Sung was examining the ship's new defense systems. We have technology that could easily destroy an entire fleet. But I also understand why we should never use it that way. Taeho realized the Keeper had been wise. The knowledge came with understanding. Not just how to use the technology, but when and why it should be used. The wisdom of the Guardians was part of the gift, Captain, called Navigator Junho from his station. The new navigation system shows we can reach Earth in 3 days instead of 6 months. Should we set course for home? Taeho took a moment to think. Yes. It's time to show Earth what we've discovered. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for departure. We're going home, and we're bringing humanity's future with us. The upgraded engines, powered up smoothly, the distant hope, no longer old or broken, moved away from the planet that had changed everything. "What do you think will happen when we get home?" Lieutenant Jiwoo asked quietly. "I don't know," Taeho admitted. "Some people will be afraid of this new knowledge. Some will want to use it for power or weapons. But that's why the Keeper chose us. We know when rules should be followed and when they should be questioned." 3 days later, the distant Hope approached Earth orbit. The ship that had left as a punishment vessel returned as something extraordinary, a beacon of new technology and the beginning of humanity's entry into a wider galactic community. "Earth." Control's shocked voice came through the communication system. "Distant Hope, your return is not scheduled for another 2.5 years. Identify yourself and explain your vessel's modifications immediately." Taeho smiled and opened a channel to all Earth frequencies. "This is Captain Taeho Kim of the Distant Hope. What we found will change humanity forever. We are not alone in the universe, and we have been invited to join something greater than ourselves." As the crew prepared to return to the planet they had left as outcasts, they knew their mission had only just begun. The real work, helping humanity understand and use this new knowledge wisely, would be their greatest challenge. But they were ready. After all, they were the ones chosen to break the rules when necessary, to question orders when they should, and to lead humanity into a new era among the stars. The punishment mission had become the greatest gift in human history.